Islam Makhachev, the lightweight champion of the world, one of the greatest fighters of all time, and the number one pound fighter in the world. Rumors are coming out that he said no to a fight with Ilia Topuria. Said that they'll turn on the Topuria fight because they feel he needs to do something first. What do you make of that when you first hear it? Like, he doesn't want to fight Topuria just yet, at least.
My first sense is that's fake news, and it's a real insult to to Islam. I don't believe that Islam's scared to fight anybody. I think the evidence of that fact would be the fact that he switched opponents, took on Money Moicano with no training camp, no preparation, just because it's the right thing to do to make sure that the golden rule is followed, which is the show must go forward. I don't believe it to be any more than a rumor. I also think it's a little bit insulting to be the one to have to ask Islam, will you fight a 45-pounder, considering that would make the third 45-pounder that Islam was forced to face. And the only thing Islam has ever told us is that he himself would like to change weights. So if he himself is not allowed to do the one thing that they're asking him to do 3 times over, I'm light on that. I don't think it happened.
You know, Chael, like that's my initial thought. I've got to talk to those guys a little bit, and I know that they think Ilia should fight someone, but I think it's for this reason, Chael P. Fighting Alexander Volkanovski, who at the time was number one pound for pound. You remember when that first fight happened? It was whoever wins will be considered the number one pound for pound fighter in the world because Islam's 2, Alex is 1. Islam beats him, but it was very close. And then we had this weird, like, Alex and Islam was number one pound for pound. Like, for a while, it was like 2 number ones. And Islam was like, wait, give me what you said I was going to get. The world then said, why do you want that? You beat a 45-pounder, right? Then he was supposed to fight Charles Oliveira. Oliveira gets hurt. In jumps Alexander Volkanovski, who at the time is still number 2 pound for pound, if not tied at number 1 with Islam Makhachev. He beats him. The world goes, well, you didn't do anything. You just beat a featherweight. That right there, Chael, is what makes me feel if he said no to the fight. That's why. Because then you have Islam Makhachev that has beaten Charles for the belt. He beat Volkanovski, Dustin Poirier, Money Moicano. He'll have 5 title fight defenses, right? 3 of them will be against featherweights. So he's probably like, I don't want to do this again because I know what comes with beating a guy, even though he's dangerous, he's still considered a featherweight. Now, if he wins a lightweight fight first, and he says he's up there for good, now you're fighting a guy that fights in the lightweight division.
Yeah, I can't disagree with any of that. I just think it's a lot to ask of a guy. And above everything else, I just don't think that Islam is saying no. I mean, you got the inside scoop, Daniel. Has he told you that he refused this and these were his reasons why? I have a really hard time picturing that. Listen, I had a meaningful conversation with Charles Oliveira. And I said, hey, Charles, because the way I see it, Daniel, there's really a fight for Ilia Topuria. And is Islam going to get that? Is Charles going to get that? Or is Sarukian going to get that? And I'm not convinced the company is going to ask for Islam to jump on that grenade right away. So if Charles or Sarukian could get that fight, they in sense could get themselves a number 1 contenders fight. It's Charles Oliveira told me, and I told him, I said, Charles, whatever your answer is, I'm going to make it public. I'm going to tell Daniel Cormier on ESPN. And he said, Chael, I will only fight him, I mean Ilia Topuria, if he wins the belt. If he comes up and can prove he belongs here, he's the world champion, I will then fight him. I said, Charles, that's not the way this game is played. You can't make demands of guys before they're the champion. He said, in this position, I can. This is my weight class. I hold a higher ranking. I've been a champion here before. This guy's all talk. He wants to fight me. He needs to come up, get the belt, put the belt on the line, and I'll take him on. I said, Charles, that sounds ridiculous, but I am going to repeat that to Daniel.
Chael, that seems like the running theme. Everyone wants to treat Topuria as if he's not a lightweight fighter right now. If Islam's saying he needs to fight somebody first, if Oliveira said, get the belt and prove that you're of this weight class, that you are one of us, it feels like the running theme is this guy's still a featherweight. But there's a word that people use all the time, and it was used a lot around Magomed Ankalaev. Chael's the word deserve. deserve. He deserves, or does he deserve? Chael, it's a word that drives me insane because you and I both know that sometimes it comes down to whether or not someone deserves something. In most instances, it's what makes sense. Magomed Ankalaev at the time did not make sense. He deserved to fight Jan Blachowicz. He got to fight Jan Blachowicz, and he had a draw. But then when he lost that belt, and then Alex Pereira becomes who he became, does he deserve? He deserves. He's won all these fights. It didn't make sense just yet. When it made sense, and they had no other option, you saw those guys matched up. So the question is, does Topuria deserve to fight for a lightweight championship? But based on him being a champion in the weight class below, because it feels, Chael, like most champions, when they go up or down, they get immediate title shots. Is that based on the fact that we deserve that opportunity based on what we had done, or the fact that there was no one else to fight that person at that time?
Yeah, and Dan, I feel like we're kind of dancing around the topic here. Who cares? I mean, that's the biggest problem. There should be a whole bunch of people that care. There should be a bunch of people saying, put Islam, get him in there with the Topuria. All of Spain should be lifting the pitchforks and jamming them into the ground with the types of yelling that this is our guy. Yep. I mean, Charles Oliveira is telling me on the down low that I can mention to you that he'll do the fight if and only if it's a world title fight, which one of them's not the world title, so I guess we got to hold that contest, keep our fingers crossed, hold our breath real deep, and everything's getting a little bit goofy. I don't know where Arman Tsarukyan isn't standing up for himself. We know he's good enough to get a title fight. He already had a signed title fight. Then you got Max Holloway, by the way, I think is going to contest with Max Holloway for Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway are going to contest for the BMF title. And I just feel like all these things are going on at 155 pounds that don't have anything to do with the world champion. And the world champion needs to design his division a little bit better. He needs to get a little bit more respect, but it starts with the world champion to give the rest of us some clarity. And right now, Islam, out of sportsmanship, out of honor, but out of his mind, nonetheless, it's a little bit dull. He needs to be steering this ship, and the rest of us will get on board.
But is he? I think that's what he's trying to do, right? He's trying, and this is why, like, I like confirmation on these things, because we got to keep saying if. But if he is saying, I turn this down, I don't want this fight right now, he's maybe trying to put the puzzle pieces where they need to be. Try to put Ilia Topuria with Charles Oliveira. Arman Tsarukyan is in the weirdest situation I've ever seen anyone get in, just because of the way it went down, Chael. Because now the UFC has openly said he's not next, when he was a day away from fighting for the championship. I don't think I've ever seen a guy, the number one contender, slip back to just one of the guys like I've seen with Arman Tsarukyan. And here's the problem with Tsarukyan. You can't just do the easy thing and go, well, Oliveira was supposed to fight him, right, after he beat Michael Chandler. Tsarukyan was supposed to fight him. Let's just make them two fight. Because last year they fought. It's like they just fought. So it's hard. Like, Arman's in a tough spot. But I think Topuria should get an opportunity, because I wouldn't want to waste it. We keep talking about Topuria, you and I think the sentiment that we share with each other is what most feel. He's a good-looking kid. He seems to have that star quality. He has a country behind him with Spain. You don't want to waste it, because those guys are dangerous. Oliveira's dangerous. Tsarukyan is dangerous. Everybody's dangerous. You may want to put him in that title fight because you don't want to waste the opportunity, because what if he doesn't get there because one of those other guys beats him?
And I just can't imagine that Tsarukyan, or I apologize, I can't imagine that Ilia Topuria would go to Dana White and say, I'm going to give you my belt back with no guarantee of a return or an opportunity to give up the participation element of his contract, which is worth millions and millions of dollars. I have a very hard time believing that somebody would do that. He is a big guy. He wasn't going to make 45 for too much longer. I do appreciate if he tells us now instead of tell us on the scale and screw up the entire event, but he's still undefeated. He's still a crowd favorite. He's still the best fighter in the world. Now all we're doing is trying to find out, are all those things true at 155 pounds? It seems like a reasonable expedition that we're out on. I want to find out.
Okay, Chael, if Islam, right, so there could be no bigger fight. There could be no bigger fight for Abu Dhabi than Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. That to me makes sense at that time frame. Putting them in Abu Dhabi, having Islam, who's the star, having Topuria, who's also a star, fighting in October, when we're generally there, would be blockbuster. But my question is, both of them do need a fight first if they don't fight each other right now.
Yeah.
Who would you match them up with if Topuria had to fight someone before he fought Islam Makhachev?
I love the idea of Topuria versus Sarukian. I just love that. And I have a hard time getting that off the ground. I'm told, well, actually by you, that they're countrymen, that they tied themselves back to Georgia. Yep. One represents Georgia now, one represents Spain. But I'm told by you that nationalistically that would be a problem. That's the match that I like. Somebody somewhere in this earth that has influence. And it's only one person, so I'll repeat it again. Somebody somewhere with influence wants to see Charles Oliveira get his ass kicked again by Islam Makhachev. It's not me. It's not any reasonable person. It's not anybody that cares about Charles. It's not even anybody I know, but I do know for sure that person exists. And just to get that person and their bright little idea to go away for good, I would be happy to do that fight one more time.
Charles and Islam, yeah. Charles and Islam would be... I just think, though, Chael, that Charles and Islam would be more competitive than it was the first time. I think
it couldn't
Charles
be less. It was 50. It was a 15-minute drumming.
Chael,
every bit of the grappling, of the jiu-jitsu, of the wrestling, of the punching, of the boxing, of the cagemanship, of the damage, of the control, all of it favored Islam. It couldn't be any worse of a beating.
It did. Islam, I think Oliveira might have been a little bit surprised. That's like the general idea I get from people when they fight those guys, is they're a bit surprised at what they feel like when they grab them. I think Oliveira might have been a little surprised. So I would like to see Oliveira fight Makhachev. I would like to see Sarukian fight Topuria if they aren't matching them up. I just think to hold it till Abu Dhabi, but I'm okay with it, Chael. I'm okay with Topuria versus Makhachev right now, but I don't make those decisions.